We're at Saturday night's main event and it's time for the Women's Tag Team Championship match between Rio and the Judgment Day. But who will win? Who will leave Toronto as Women's Tag Team Champions? Well, the match is on and we start things off between Old Flames, former bitter rivals Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. However, that doesn't last long as Liv tags out to Roxanne Perez, who steps up to Mommy, even hitting her in the chest with a chop. And with her showboating in front of the champ, she pays for this dearly, getting a headbutt for her troubles as she immediately rolls to the outside. But Rhea follows as she swings her into the barricade. Yet doing that once isn't enough for her as she does it again before finally putting her into the ring. However, that's when Liv Morgan tries coming out of nowhere looking for a forearm, which gets caught mid-air as Rhea throws her into the barricade all the same, but as she gets on the apron, the Prodigy tries to hit her back down. Though Roxy fails at this task as Rhea gets back into the ring and super kicks her down. Then she picks her up and throws her into the corner, as after 2 punches, she tags in Io Sky, who throws Roxy to one side just so she can kick her with assistance from the ropes, as she climbs to the middle rope, booting Roxanne away, hitting a middle rope hurricanrana, sending Roxanne back out of the ring, leaving her in prime positioning for a suicide dive. As Io Sky goes back into the ring and hits one on Liv Morgan as well. And with Rhea throwing Roxanne back into the ring, Io goes back on the apron to springboard dropkick away, back into the ring, just like that. And she tries to cover, only getting her a 1 count. So once she gets up, she double knees Roxy's gut, although as she looks to go up high, Liv distracts her, giving Roxanne Perez a chance to recover as she forces her into the corner, and after a shot to the back, she turns her around and tags in Liv Morgan, as the Prodigy is used as a catapult for Liv Morgan to nail a codebreaker onto the Genius of the Sky. As she goes into the cover, similarly only getting a 1 count. So after a kick to the back, Liv picks her up and puts Io back into the corner and tags back in Roxanne Perez. As following an enziguri from the Prodigy, they line up Io and nail a vicious double drop kick, with Roxanne obviously going back into the cover, which yields the same result. So she goes to the middle rope and nails a frog smash on the Genius of the Sky. But once she gets up, she goes over to Liv Morgan and tags her back in, as it's now Liv who goes to the middle rope as she sentons Io Sky, who writhes around in pain. So Liv tries to cover, this time garnering a 2 count. Although that's not enough for her, as she double foot stomps her before drop kicking her back on her back. Then she double foot stomps her once more, going to the middle rope once more as well, this time for a simple yet effective double axe handle. And the covers seemingly never end, so Io has to kick out again, which leads to her being kicked in the gut and in the back. Then she picks her up and throws her into a non-taggable corner, kicking her twice and forearming her down. But her follow-up stomp gets met by Io's boot, who quickly tries going up top, getting pulled right back down to reality. However, she fights back with a big headbutt. Although as she tries to grab Liv, Miss Morgan knees her back and sends her out of the ring via a clothesline. And she quickly follows her, nailing a big elbow drop to the outside, and she's nowhere near done, throwing her into the ring post, and with the referee distracted, Roxanne Perez lays the boots into her, and she leaves her before the referee notices, so Liv takes full advantage of this, sending Io back into the ring, who slowly starts to stumble her way to her feet, and she gets forearmed and spinning heel kicked for her efforts. As Liv goes for the pin, though she can't get the win, as Io kicks out at 2. So she picks her up and throws her into the corner where the Prodigy lies, and the two get some more tag team offense going, wiping the floor with her through forearms, until eventually the two nail a knee drop backbreaker combination, which turns into a flatliner enziguri combination and all. And naturally, Roxanne Perez tries for the win. which doesn't come just quite yet, as Io Sky still has some fight left in her. And Rhea knows Io's struggling, so she begs and begs for the tag, which she can't find, as Roxanne Perez lays in the shots on the Genius of the Sky. And with a slap, this seemingly lights a fire under Io as she pushes the Prodigy back and she forearms and forearms her with all of her might, until she eventually collapses into a corner. But Io gets distracted taking out Liv Morgan as Roxanne manages to fight off her next attack as she even hits a front flip facebuster, bridging into the cover. Although like always, Io Sky kicks out. So she kicks her in the gut and back handspring sentons her. However, Rhea Ripley breaks up the pin. And this really aggravates Roxanne Perez, getting up in Mommy's grill, causing Io Sky's comeback as she dragon suplexes Roxanne Perez. But then, Liv Morgan pulls Rhea Ripley off the apron and throws her into the announcer's table. And after smashing Mommy's head into it, she decks her with several shots up until snap-bearing her down and drop-kicking her head. And this distracts Io Sky, so much so that she gets reversed hurricanranaed by the Prodigy, stunning her long enough for the impaling DDT to be followed up shortly after. But the cover that's made only grants her a 2, and this really makes Roxanne Perez even more mad, so Roxy looks to take a page out of Paige's book, which only leads to her being taken down by Io. But there's still no Rhea for the tag, so she just hurricanranaes the Prodigy back down, and she even takes Liv Morgan out as well, following this up with a roll through double foot stomp, as finally the tag to Rhea Ripley is made. And she's a house on fire, clotheslining Roxanne Perez twice, dropkicking her down and all. Then she picks her up and just chucks her into the corner, punching her twice and forearming her down. But of course, she's nowhere near done, as she dropkicks her out of the corner before sending to the heavens, though her landing is far from smooth, as Roxanne moves out of harm's way and quickly fires off a pop rocks. But she doesn't make the pin, rather tagging in Liv Morgan, who goes for an oblivion, yet Io saves her tag team partner, taking the bullet for her as Io Sky is laid out with an oblivion. And this makes Rhea Ripley furious, which gets amplified when Liv tramples over her, and after taunting at her as well, she gets big booted down as the Prodigy gets taken out too. As with this, Rhea Ripley kicks Liv Morgan in the gut and riptides her, and she goes into the cover for only a 2 count. Rhea is beside herself, so she picks her up, though Liv Morgan rakes the eyes as she fires off shot after shot just in an attempt to take Mommy down, which ultimately fails as Rhea looks for a headbutt, getting blocked with an uppercut as Liv looks to steal the win and the women's tag team titles with a roll-up, but Rhea kicks out, so once both women get up, Liv looks for one last oblivion, which gets blocked by Rhea Ripley. However, unlike the last encounter, Liv fights out of Mommy's grasp, planting her down with the second codebreaker of the match, which draws blood, as Liv effectively crawls into the cover. She begs for that to be it, even though it's not. Now it's she who's beside herself with rage, so she picks her up and drapes her onto the ropes. But again, the oblivion misses, and again, the riptide connects. Rhea has the match won, yet Roxanne denies her victory, breaking up the pin. And Rhea goes over to her, although she gets shoulder barged in the gut. As with her stunned, Roxanne Perez grabs her and suplexes her to the concrete floor. She's done, and the Prodigy knows it, throwing her back into the ring for the oblivion to connect. But Io Sky is alive as she breaks up the pin, and she quickly sends Roxanne Perez to the outside, subsequently nailing a springboard moonsault onto her. Going back into the ring to see Rhea Ripley stun Liv Morgan with a headbutt. As she rises her from the dead, puts her into the corner, tagging back in Io as Rhea puts Liv in the electric chair position, only for her to tell Io to go up to the top red district. as she grabs her and Spanish flies off Rhea Ripley, and this spells the beginning of the end for the Judgment Day, as Io Sky ascends to the heavens again to nail the over the moonsault. However, she's still not done, going back up there one last time to connect a moonstomp. As with that, Rio defeat the Judgment Day. They are still your Women's Tag Team Champions. Who on earth can stop them? Well, before we find out, it's now time for the WWE Championship Fatal 4-Way No More Contenders match. But who will win? Will it be Randy Orton? Will it be Damian Priest? Will it be Trick Williams? Or will it be Sami Zayn? Well, the match is on, and Sami Zayn immediately clotheslines Trick Williams to the outside of the ring before building a full head of steam and suicide diving Trick Willie. However, with Randy and Damian watching on, the Viper looks very RKO out of nowhere, which fails as he tries to strike Sami, who blocks it and dives once more on a Trick. But this allows Damian to attempt to steal the win early with a roll-up. However, the Apex Predator kicks out. And as both men rise, Damian looks for an early South of Heaven chokeslam, which gets blocked by Randy, although before Iron Man can do anything more, they get taken out by a flying Sami Zayn. And with Randy Orton rolling to the outside, Sami then chucks Damian Priest outside and all. And he again builds up a full head of steam, nailing another dive this time onto Damian Priest. Then he quickly goes back into the ring and does the same on Randy Orton. However, when he gets back into the ring for the third time, he gets cut off by Trick, who actually misses his second shot as Sami looks for a Blue Thunder Bomb, similarly missing as Trick tries with a roll-up just like Damian Priest did, gaining him the exact same result. As once both men get up, Trick looks for the Trick shot, which gets countered into a corner exploder suplex. Then he lines up with a haluva kick, although before he starts to run, he gets cut off by Damian Priest, who drags him to the outside. But Sami quite literally pushes back, yet his punch is dodged as Damian hurls him into the barricade gut first, and after a throat chop, the former El Campeon grabs Sami and front suplexes him onto the railing. But before he can take advantage of this, Randy Orton grabs him and sends him into the barricade and all, following this up with a back suplex on top of it as well. However, Trick is back up, and he takes down the Viper with a diving clothesline. Then he just taunts to the crowd, and once he's done, he throws Randy into the ring, but as he gets onto the apron, Sami Zayn pulls him back down, missing another punch, as Trick subsequently sends him into the steel steps. Although as he gets back up on the apron, he's met by Randy Orton, who draping DDTs him, and we all know what comes next. Or so you think, as Trick counters by picking him up, though Orton slips out of his grasp as he climbs to the middle rope. But he's too slow, as Trick quickly takes him down. And he just beats on the future Hall of Famer, as following a kick to the gut, he picks him up and throws him into the corner. But after two punches, Damian elbows him in the back and hurls him into a corner as he clotheslines him down, going over to do the same to Randy Orton, who manages to get his boots up as the two start trading punches, yet eventually Randy starts to overwhelm Damian Priest, hurling him into the corner as he proceeds to mount him, hitting not one punch but two, then three, then four, then five, then six, then seven, then eight, then nine, before Sami Zayn swoops into the ring and pulls Orton off the middle rope, as both men counter each other's punches with forearms, and Orton then jawbreakers him, but as he goes for a power slam, Sami overpowers him and drops him with a Sting homaged Scorpion Death Drop. And Sami goes into the cover, only getting him a 1 count. So he goes back over to a still cornered Damian Priest, as it's now his turn to nail punch after punch. However, after finally reaching 9, it's then Trick Williams' turn to ruin the festivities, dropping Sami Zayn with a bicycle kick, going over to Damian Priest to be immediately countered, as now he's in the corner and he gets completely and utterly battered by the former El Campeon, as following a plethora of kicks, he big boots him fully down. Though then Randy tries to grab him and he fails at maintaining the grip as Damian plants him down with an elevated flatliner. But Sami Zayn breaks up the pin, and after swiping the patch of blood off his face, he manages to block Sami's punch, and Damian begins to overwhelm him until Sami drapes his arm on the rope, as Priest ends up sending him over Then he gets an idea, as he proves he's not the only one who can fly, suicide diving Sami Zayn. Then he goes on the apron and notices Trick Williams doing the same, so he goes over to him and throws him off towards the table. And he quickly joins him as he looks to put him through the same damn table, but Trick squeezes out of Damien's grasp as he then tries taking him down, but he just pushes him away, super kicking Trick all the way back down to earth. And from here, he redecorates, as once he's finished, he turns around into a punch from Randy Orton, as he picks up the Dazed Priest and unbelievably back suplexes him onto hit. But then Trick tries sneak attacking him, only leading to Orton giving out the exact same punishment. Yet Sami Zayn quickly goes through the turnbuckle to tornado DDT the Apex Predator down, as he then picks him up and quickly puts him into the ring, swiftly joining him as he ascends to the heavens. But his crossbody gets caught mid-air as Randy smashes Sami's back into the turnbuckle before putting him down and climbing the middle ropes again. This time connecting a down double axe handle, as the Viper then goes into the cover, which can only get him a 2 count. So he just drastically slows down the pace of the match, nailing his stomps to Sami, culminating in 1 to the head, as he then picks him up and puts him in a little corner, putting him onto the top rope looking for a big suplex, which he eventually finds. But he took himself out as Trick quickly scurries over, and after dragging Randy outside, he goes into the ring and grabs Sami to nail him with a quick float over Uranagi. But as the cover is made, Damian Priest is also back up, and he breaks up the pin, as with Orton sliding back into the ring, Trick Williams is surrounded by both veterans of the business, and eventually he gets swarmed by them, Damian with kicks and Randy with punches, but Damian changes his routine to match the Vipers. Although once Trick is down, both put the boots to him, which only stops when Randy attempts a surprise RKO, as he gets taken to the outside via a clothesline. Although Sami is back up and he fends off Damian Priest before going up top, though Damian punches him as he then meets him up there. But his Hurricanrana is nowhere to be found, as Sami, still being perched on the middle rope, decides to go back up to the top rope to nail a big crossbody. And he desperately tries to cover, yet Damian Priest kicks out at 2. And with bruises forming where the cut was, Sami nails a big tornado DDT off the top, and he goes into the cover thinking that's it, but Trick Williams breaks up the pinfall. And with Sami dazed from this, Trick quickly nails him with a slam dunk before going into the cover, and he has the match won if it wasn't for Randy Orton breaking up the pin. And the Viper pushes Trick into the corner through punches, though after a third, Trick counters, as it's now he who throws punches, but Randy pushes back, and following some counters of some shots, we see some vintage Orton offense, as the Apex Predator goes for the pin, merely getting a 2 count. He thought that was it, so he goes for an Exploder Suplex, which Trick counters, though Randy blocks Trick's follow-up punch, subsequently connecting a big follow slam. But he wants one more, which he can't find, as Trick turns it into a surprise DDT, and with him stunned, Mr. Williams unbelievably nails an RKO onto the Master himself. Is that it? Well, no, it's not. Randy Orton lives, and this makes Trick Willie furious, as with Randy rolling to the outside, he turns his anger onto an outstanding Damian Priest, almost resulting in his own demise, as the former El Campeon manages to nail him up a razor's edge, and he thinks Trick may be out just like that, even though he's not. And with this, he big boots Trick over the top rope, but before joining him, Sami Zayn attempts to strike, keyword being attempt, as Damian chokes him on the ropes before going up top, nailing a cartwheel kick from the heavens. Then he quickly refocuses on Trick Williams, who elbows Priest back, though after some more back and forth, Trick misses a crucial discus big boot as he gets kicked down for his troubles. And from here, Damian Priest completes what he set out to do, grabbing Trick by the throat and self-heavening him through the table. He's out, and Priest knows it, choosing to go back into the ring, which gets him a big pop-up RKO out of nowhere by Randy Orton, who goes into the cover. but Damian Priest somehow manages to kick out. And the voices, they start ringing. Randy backing up into the corner. He wants the punt, although all he can get is a haluva kick by Sami Zayn, as he then quickly goes over to Damian Priest and finally nails the Blue Thunder Bomb as he goes into the cover to pick up the win. The Blue Thunder Bomb does the job. Sami Zayn is going to the Royal Rumble. He's going to fight for the WWE Championship, but can he finish his own story and finally win the title? Well, before we find out, it's now time for the main event of the evening, as it's time for Cody Rhodes to take on Jacob Fatu. But who will end the night on top? Well, the match is on, and both men run at one another, with Cody even nailing a crossroads onto Jacob, and he of course tries to cover, though Fatu kicks out at one. The American Nightmare is shook, as Jacob begins to rise. So Cody sends him to the outside via a clothesline, but Jacob is right back up. So Cody nails him with a big suicide dive. Yet one isn't enough, as he goes for and nails a second. But Jacob still won't stay down, so Cody just diving crossbodies to some old werewolf. Then Cody picks him up and hurls him into the barricade, smashing him headfirst into it. Though Fatu quickly fires back by sending Cody into the steel steps. And after shaking off the beatdown he just received, it's now his turn to give out the punishment, as he picks up Cody and just scoop stabs him onto the hardest part of the ring. And he's nowhere near done with him, wastelanding the former WWE champion onto the commentary desk. Then he picks him up and drags him across ringside before hurling him into the ring post. As from here, Jacob breaks up the count and goes to the top rope, nailing a crossbody all the way to the outside. And Jacob absolutely loves this, as after picking up Cody once again, it's now he who sends Cody to the barricade. But he's not content on doing it just the once, as he does it again, ending the barricade saga with a Uranagi onto it. And whilst Cody writhes around in pain, Jacob goes on the apron, and merely awaits for his arrival. As once Cody eventually gets up, Jacob diving clotheslines him, turning Cody inside out. As he picks him up and grabs him by the neck, chucking him into the ring before naturally joining him. As once he does, he tries to grab him, but Cody knees back as he looks for a desperate Cody cutter, which gets turned into a German suplex. As Fatu goes for his first cover, doing better than Rose's first, even though he still can't get the win. So Jacob just picks him up and chucks him into the corner, spearing his gut down. And following two stomps, Fatu looks for the running hip attack. But Rhodes has it scouted, as with a small werewolf stun for a mere moment, the former WWE champion manages to nail the Super Cody Cutter, going into the cover for again just a one count. So the former WWE champion mounts Fatu, who just flips the pressure entirely. Although as he grabs Cody's feet, he quite literally pushes back, as he then nails punch after punch just in an attempt to take down Jacob, finally succeeding with a bionic elbow. However, Jacob Fatu immediately kicks right back up, so Cody goes for the exact same combo again, finishing it off with his second bionic elbow, as he tries for the cover again, only getting a one count. As Fatu is almost straight away back up, blocking a punch with a knee to the gut, barraging Cody with strikes, up until he drapes his arm onto the ropes. And Jacob clotheslines him over and out of the ring, and then he decides to take a huge risk for a huge reward, as he nails a picture-perfect suicide dive to the outside. Jacob Fatu is a freak of nature, and this spot gets amplified when he quickly chucks Cody into the ring as he goes on top, looking for a diving headbutt, which gets caught out of nowhere with a pedigree, a trick Cody hasn't pulled in a while, which can only grant him a 2 count. So he decides to go for one more. However, he can't find it, as Jacob Backbody drops his way out of it, following this up with a headbutt to the shoulder. Then he turns his attention to the head, headbutting it over and over again. But once he's done, he decides to look for the double swing moonsault. but no one's home as the American Nightmare unbelievably tries for the roll-up win, yet this desperate attempt at a victory ultimately fails. So he quickly runs off the ropes, only to be put right back down with a pop-up Samoan drop, and Batu thinks Rhodes is done. However, Cody would disagree as he kicks out at 2. Then he quickly goes onto the apron, desperate for a breather, which he can't find, so he punches Fatu before going up top, yet he's just a little bit too slow as Jacob punches him and proceeds to meet him up there, nailing a picture-perfect hurricanrana off the top, as Jacob eventually goes into the cover, thinking that Cody Rhodes is finally done. Oh, how wrong he would be, as the American Nightmare still survives. And he attempts to thrive, dodging a headbutt as he goes for another Cody cutter, which Fatu attempts to stop, leading to Cody flipping out of his grasp and taking a page out of his brother's book. But even this just can't do the job. So Cody just starts punching him relentlessly, though Jacob is able to quite literally kick back, and with Cody stunned, Jacob super kicks him down, going into the cover. However, Cody's fame still burns bright. He kicks out, so Jacob just deadlifts him up and forces him into the corner, taking him down before lining up and this time connecting the running hip attack. And to finish this combo off, Batu picks him up and Impaler DDTs him. A move he used to win Tag Team Gold a year ago can't get him the win tonight, so he digs deep into his reserves, planting Rhodes with a Rikishi driver, before climbing up to the heavens, nailing a massive Samoan splash. But even this doesn't kill off Cody, so Jacob just reclimbs up to the top rope, though his follow-up Swanton Bomb is nowhere to be found, as it's now Cody who digs deep into his reserves, connecting a Vertebreaker. A bad move at that, still doesn't keep Batu down. So he calls for a crossroads, which gets blocked by an elbow, as Fatu just launches Cody Rhodes to the outside. Cody's back may be broken in half. However, at the last possible second, the American Nightmare breaks up the count. He's still in the match, but for how much longer will this be the case? As after taking him down, Batu is able to connect the double swing moonsault. Cody Rhodes is done, yet whilst his body is, his mind is not. Jacob Batu is ballistic, so he goes for another, which misses, and Cody takes prime opportunity of the situation, nailing one crossroads. Then a second one lands, and of course, he completes the trifecta. The move that finished his story doesn't finish the match tonight. Cody is shook, he's got nothing left, so he just demands for Jacob Batu to fight. As with Jacob Batu up, both warriors meet in the middle of the ring. As from here, they start to trade. Cody's chops being met by Jacob's punches. They're so incredibly even, it could go either way. And eventually, after more and more punches and chops are traded, they start swinging like there's no tomorrow. However, this duel ends up with Jacob Batu overwhelming Cody Rhodes and setting him into the corner. As from here, he puts him onto the top rope, smacking him and joining him up there just like last time. But Jacob Batu switches directions as he suplexes Cody Rhodes off the top rope to the concrete floor. Cody's done, and Batu is stirring as he decides to go all the way around to the announcer's table as he makes it naked, and after doing this, he goes back over to the still motionless Cody Rhodes, picking him up and dragging him by the scruff of the neck along to his doom. As once both men make it to the announcer's table, Jacob puts Cody onto it before going into the ring onto the top rope and splashing Cody through the exact same damn table. The American Nightmare is now well and truly done, and Jacob Batu knows it, throwing him back into the ring as he nails not just one double spring moonsault, not just two of the Son of the Guns, but three back to back to back before going into the cover. As with that, Jacob Batu has won. He has just pinned the former WWE champion, but can he use this momentum to propel himself to win the Royal Rumble? Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see. As if you like this story, I think this might interest you.